What's up YouTube, Laughing Pikachu here. Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys some different methods of identifying fake Pokemon cards. Now one of the main reasons I wanted to make this video was because a lot of people, especially lately, have been emailing me and asking me, you know, do you think this card is fake and stuff like that. I've actually done a couple of trades with people over the years where people were sending me cards for the trade and they have been fake. Also recently in a couple of TCM Frenzy episodes, you know, I think there was a person who sent me some free cards, which was very, very nice of them. But unfortunately some of the cards were fake, and I don't think they knew that. I think that they thought that their cards were real. So anyways, with that being said, I just wanted to make a video to sort of inform you guys, make sure, just I guess use this opportunity to sort of teach you guys about what fake cards look like and stuff like that, to make sure you guys don't get cheated out and you know end up getting some fake cards from someone, and you know that's never fun. So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So I've actually got some different fake cards to use as examples, and then I also have some real cards which I'll be comparing to in a second. But anyways, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the size of the card. So it's very interesting. I feel like this would be such an easy thing to do, to get right, but for some reason a lot of fake card companies, whenever they create fake cards, they really struggle to get the size of the cards right. So as you can see, this one on the left here is fake and this one on the right is real, and when you line them up they are completely different sizes. So I'm sure you can either just take a card and just put it next to it and see if it looks right. But a lot of the times, just by looking at the card, you can tell that it's it looks weird. As you can tell, this one looks really, really long and skinny, and they typically aren't like that. They're very I guess wide rectangles, I guess. But yeah, you can, if you don't have a card on you, you can also just measure the card and just remember what it's like. But yeah, so one of the best ways, or one of the easiest ways, and not necessarily the best, because not all fake Pokemon cards are the wrong size, but one of the easiest ways to check right off the bat is just see if the card is the correct size. Now if it is the correct size, such as for example these right here, they are all the correct size. If you match them up, the backs of them, the size of the cards more or less match. Again, a little bit off, but that's a very, very minimal difference. Then the next thing I would recommend doing is looking at the back of the card. So just because the card size is matched does not, for some reason the backs of the cards were, I guess it's the way they're designed, but Pokemon designed them in a very specific way that makes it very hard for them to copy these cards. So whenever people do end up copying the cards, they end up looking like this. So the end of the border, outside border, blends in with the background. So it's as you can see at the top here, they almost look the same color, whereas you can tell that there are two very distinct colors on the one on the left, which is the real one. So it's as you can see here, the colors, they blend in. You can barely tell that there's a border, especially at the top left corner and at the sides here. Whereas on the one on the left here, the real one, you can tell that there's a distinct dark blue border around it. So by looking at the back of the cards, the backs of the cards are one of the hardest things to replicate, and hardest things, you know, one of the biggest things that fake Pokemon cards struggle with. So here are just some of the backs of some of the various fake Pokemon cards. So they end up looking like this whenever that you copy them. They're just the outer border does not end up looking like the right color. As you can see, this one, it's dark, but it's very, very dark to a point where it blends in at the sides here. And as you can see, it's not supposed to do that on real Pokemon cards. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is the text of the cards. So I actually, so some of these are good, for example, if they just directly copy a card, obviously the text is going to be the correct one, but for example, this one, the text is a lot smaller, and it's not the same text that Pokemon typically uses. I actually have a really good example of one right here. So here is a Groudon EX Full Art. This is this one right here. The one on the right side is going to be a fake one, and the one on the left side is going to be a real one. But as you can see, the text is different. For the Groudons, even just the name part, you can just tell by looking at it. It looks different. So this one, just, you know, Pokemon always uses the same text for all cards. So you can just, put a fake card next to a real card, and if the text looks different, then it's very likely that the card in your hand is fake. So yeah, there's just a nice comparison of how a fake text looks like. Obviously, you know, different fake Pokemon cards will have different text. But yeah, it's very similar, so you definitely have to look carefully, but also you can tell that the energies look a little bit different as well. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is So the holo patterns. The holo patterns on, you know, ultra rares and holo cards are one of the hardest things to replicate. So first of all, I've just got an example of like a reverse card. So as you can see, there's like stars in this reverse pattern, and I have this reverse right here. So both of these are fake reverses, and this one has like squares. So that is not how reverse patterns look. Now, over the years, the style of the reverse holos have changed. So I guess I can go ahead and show you an example of one, but just because, so here is an example of an older reverse holo pattern. So as you can see, they're very like dark and solid. As of recently, Pokemon has actually developed a bit of a newer reverse holo technology, where they actually have like the type. So for example, this is a regular type, so you can sort of see the regular type in the reverse holo pattern. So yeah, those are the two most popular types of reverse holo patterns. There's a couple of other ones out there as well, but if you see any like crazy squares and stars all over the place, and they look very like rainbowy like this, and just very, very like refractive, and you can just see a bunch of colors, it's very likely that they're fake. So that's a good way to tell. But apart from reverse holos, like even on EX cards, the holo patterns on EX cards are also very, very hard to duplicate. So a lot of the times, so there's there's a number of different ways you can tell. So first of all, there's just no holo pattern on an EX card. Pretty much all EXs have some sort of holo pattern. So as you can see, this one here has no holo pattern, so it's a fake card. But even the ones, just because you have one that does have a holo pattern does not mean it's real. So here, these two right here are fake EX cards, and this one right here is a real EX card. So one of the things that you'll notice right off the bat is, for a lot of these, the holo pattern on the fake cards go all the way through the card. So like it's down here, and for this one it's also like all the way at the bottom as well. So the holo pattern is through the whole card. But in real cards, it's not like that. The holo pattern is only like in the artwork part. And as you can see, if you look carefully, it's naturally, the actual holo pattern is not on the Pokemon. It's only like in the eyes part and in the background. So if you see the holo pattern in all of the artwork, and sometimes even down here as well, then that is a very high indication that it's a very high chance that the card you have is fake. Also, these are very, like, the reverse holo, or the holo pattern that's on these cards is very different than the one that you see here. As you can see, when the light hits the card, it's like, it kind of comes across in like these lines. See, like that line right there that comes across? These are, they're just like, the whole card sort of just lights up. There's not really any like line pattern. That's because the way that the holo patterns are made are a little bit different. The Pokemon holo pattern is very, very hard to replicate, so that is one of the best ways to sort of knock out fake EX cards. Now this, obviously, you know, by looking at the holo pattern, you can only do that for like ultra rares and stuff like that, so I guess it's a bit of a less useful tip, but still something to definitely look at when you get some EX cards. And then another thing worth pointing out is the texture. Almost no fake cards have texture. Now I guess this only really applies to full arts and a couple of secret rares out there that have texture, but Pokemon has always done a fantastic job creating these unique textures on Pokemon cards, specifically Pokemon full art cards. So if you see any full art cards that don't have any textures, then it's very likely that the card's a fake. Now there are a couple of full art cards out there that do not have texture. I just want to point that out, but a majority of them do. So if you are unsure whether or not the card has texture or not, just look it up, and you will probably find that sort of information online. But a lot of these set-based full arts do have texture, but a lot of like the promo full arts, or some of the promo full arts, do not have texture. The black and white full arts, though, a couple of those do not have texture, because those were like the first era full arts, so they didn't quite have, like, at that time they didn't quite establish the like whole full art texture pattern and stuff like that. But all of the newer full art cards that are set based should have texture. So as you can see, this one does not have texture, and this one does. So the one on the left is real. And the final thing, something that works for pretty much every single card, is that an interesting thing about Pokemon cards, you have to look very, very, very closely, but at the side of real Pokemon cards, you should be able to see this very thin, like, black line. Now, a lot of people recommend, like, ripping the card, but if you rip the card and it ends up being a real card, then that becomes an issue. So I don't really recommend ripping it, but if you look under the light, I'm pretty sure the camera's not going to pick this up, just because it's so extremely fine. But you have to, like, look under the light, and right in between the cards, you should be able to see a very thin black line. So I'm not gonna rip this card. Obviously, it's a beautiful full art. I'm not gonna rip it. But like in the fake cards, there is no line. And that's because when Pokemon cards are printed, they're pretty much printed like the front and the back. I believe they're printed separately and then glued together, that sort of thing. And they're, you know, built together very, very firmly. You know, it's like a solid card that you can't just like peel apart. But like there are like there is a thing that like sort of divides the two halves, whereas a lot of these fake cards are just printed as like one piece of paper, and then there's just printed on the front and back. So anyways, those are some different tips. I think the black line tip is probably one of the hardest ones to check, but it's one that definitely works for all Pokemon cards. But again, the best way to check is just by looking at the back. If you've dealt with Pokemon cards often, you should be able to tell right off the bat whether they're real or not. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you have any other tips of how to identify fake Pokemon cards, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys!